Hey, this is Collin Moshman for CardRunners.com. Today's Quickie, we have a $15 9-man sit and go played on PokerStars. As usual, some of the quick decisions we're going to skip through and focus on the most interesting spots. Pocket 8s here with 10s plus, I would definitely 3-bet. 8s here elects to flat, which I think is a very reasonable decision. Now, when this flop gets checked around and betting out is another reasonable option, we are going to bet any card besides a Jack plus. So if it pairs the board, if it's a 5, a 7, any of those, we'll just go ahead and bet 120 or so. Jack, I would check fold. And we get out of the hand. Pocket 10s facing a button limper is a definite raise. And I would make it 110 or 120 here. And we get a heads up. Standard continuation bet of 180 or 200 or so, and 150 fine as well. Turn comes a 5, and assuming this is a standard loose passive opponent, which is a pretty safe assumption given that he open limped on the button, a lot of the time he's going to have a hand like Jack 10 of clubs, or overcards with some kind of backdoor draw, or possibly a one-pair hand, so we don't necessarily give him too much credit. And I would bet here to charge the overs, and worse hands can call. 7x, 3x hands can call. So I would just bet about half pot here, and if he shoved, I'd fold. And then if we get called, a lot of the time we can make a blocking bet on the river. So unless the river comes a 10, we can bet something like a fifth of pot and get some thin value, and he'll usually tell us when we're beat. Few junk hands will just toss. Ace Queen suited, a definite open in the hijack, and take it down uncontested. Ace 9 suited under the gun, I would toss. 6-4 suited in the big blind. Unless we're facing a late position min raise, we're usually going to toss. Pocket 5s facing the same loose passive player, now open limping the cutoff, I would raise to 175. So any suited ace, suited Broadway hand, Queen Jack, mid-high pair, we can come in with a raise, and sometimes we're going to win immediately, and the most common outcome when we don't is that we get a heads up against a weaker player who's out of position playing hit to win with 75 and overlay. So this is a good spot to come in pretty wide, and I would raise the 5s. Ace 9, I would have open raised here after the same player limps. It's kind of a similar decision. And if it was the same cut-off button dynamic, I would definitely raise. When he limps the hijack, it's fine to fold, but any better becomes a mandatory raise fairly quickly. Like pocket 6s, ace 10, king queen, queen jack suited are all definite raising hands. A few more folds, jack 10 off, same guy. So it's a little bit awkward to do anything besides shove or check. He will fold the vast majority of the time we shove, which is what he elects to do, so that's a very reasonable play. 7-3 off, we would have open folded in the small blind. King 9 suited, I would open raise on the button. Kings, of course, will come in. And we get 3-handed action with a 6-10-10 flop, and the small blind goes ahead and donk bets. Now, we're not too scared of this. It's pretty unlikely he's doing this with the 10, and the pot going into the flop is 775, which is half our stack. So the first thing we need to think about is, are we willing to put our stack in on this flop, given all the other factors? And the answer is yes. And the next question is, well, how do we do that? There's a lot out there. Should we just go ahead right now and shove? Should we take it a little bit slower, make a smaller raise? And my preferred option is flatting, because we want to, for one thing, keep this player in. So if he has some kind of 6x hand, a bit unlikely, a pocket pair though, 7s, 8s, 5s, maybe even a couple of overs with some kind of backdoor draw. We want all those hands to stay in. So my preferred line is to flat here and entice this player to come along. And then, of course, if this guy is in fact weak or betting with total air, we give him another chance to bluff with it. So I do prefer the min raise to just shoving. My preferred line is flatting and delaying our move until the turn. And now villain min 3 bets, which is kind of odd. I would assume at this point that he likes his hand. I wouldn't be scared enough to get out of the hand. I would definitely still put in the stack. And at this point, I would just assume that he likes to now. Maybe he has a hand like 7s or 8s, and I would just shove. But here are flats. Picks up a great turn, and obviously we'll call. In fact, this guy didn't have anything.